Okay, we will start. Now, in our last lecture, we were looking at electrolytic cell. Now, for electrolytic cell, what you need to take note, cation ions. So, cation ions, A plus, B plus, and anion, C minus, D minus. Cation ion are attracted to the cathode, anion are attracted to the anode. Now, especially if the electrolyte is aqueous, there will be many cations and anions that we need to consider. So how do I decide which is the cation, which is the anion to be discharged? Now, so recall on page 20, this example here, where I have aqueous lead-2 bromide. So cathode, your Pb2 plus and your H2O will be attracted to the cathode. And how do I know which is the one that will be discharged, which is the one that will be reduced? So you need to take note, at the cathode, reduction occur. So to decide which one is reduced, we need to look at the E0 value. So for reduction reaction, we always look for the more positive E0 value. The one that is more positive will be the one that is discharged, the one that will be reduced. Now, then for the anode, anion will be attracted, Br minus H2O. So how do I know which is the one that is discharged at the anode? So remember, at the anode, oxidation occur. So how do you decide which one is oxidized? You look for the one that has the more negative E0 value. Okay, so you can write this down. Look for more positive, look for more negative. Okay, so we compare their electrode potential. Now, other than the electrode potential, in our last lecture, we say that we also need to consider the concentration. So if there's a high concentration of a particular ion, it can affect the E0 value, and therefore we will need to consider how that one will affect what is discharged. So for today, our focus will be on the nature of the electrode. Now, so if our electrode is different, it may affect the product that is formed. So this is on page 22. So for example, we are looking at the electrolysis of copper sulfate using inert graphite electrode. So at the cathode, cation will be attracted. So at Cu2 plus, I have H2O. They'll be attracted to the cathode. Now, at the cathode, what you need to remember, cathode is where reduction occur. So therefore, when you choose the half equation, you need to choose the half equation where Cu2 plus and H2O are on the left hand side, because that is when the two species undergo reduction. And which one will be discharged? Remember, we look at the E0 value. So reduction, I need to look for the one that is more positive. Copper 2 plus has a more positive E0 value, therefore it will undergo reduction. So you can put a tick to tell yourself that copper 2 plus is the one that is reduced at the cathode. How about at the anode? Now, at the anode, anions will be attracted. What are the anions? Copper sulfate. So I have SO42 minus. Water can also be attracted at the anode. So anode is the electrode where oxidation occurs. So when you find the half equation, you must find the half equation where the two species are on the right hand side. That is when they undergo oxidation. Then the next thing is, how do you decide which one is oxidized? I compare the E0 value again. So oxidation, I look for the one that is more negative. So plus 1.23 is more negative. Therefore, it will be the one that undergo oxidation. And hence, at the anode, your water will be the one that is oxidized. So, because of this overall reaction here, your copper 2 plus is reduced, therefore, and is reduced to copper, therefore your mass of your cathode will increase because more copper is deposited on the cathode. And because copper 2 plus is reduced, so it's changed to copper, your concentration of copper 2 plus ion in the electrolyte will drop. And hence you will see the color becoming more and more pale. Okay, now what happens if I change the electrode to the copper electrode instead? Now for the anode, nothing will happen. So it will still be copper 2 plus undergoing reduction. But for the cathode, what you need to take note, now my electrode here is copper. Copper is another species that can undergo oxidation. So hence, there are three species that can undergo oxidation at your anode now. And how do I decide which is the one that is oxidized? Again, I look at the E naught value. So this one here is more negative because I'm looking at oxidation reaction. Therefore, it will be the one that is oxidized. So at the anode, copper is oxidized to copper 2 plus. And at the cathode, the same reaction takes place. Copper 2 plus is reduced to copper. So what do you think? What do you notice here? So copper is formed at the cathode, so your cathode will increase in size. Then at the anode, copper is reduced, so it will decrease in size. Okay, but your color of the electrolyte will still remain the same. Why did it remain the same? Because now at your cathode, copper is oxidized to copper 2 plus, but this copper 2 plus, when it's formed, it is also reduced to copper at the cathode. So overall, there is no change to your concentration of your copper 2 plus. So because there's no net change in the concentration of copper 2 plus, hence the color of the solution will remain unchanged. Okay, so it's formed and used up, formed and used up. So therefore, there's no net change in the concentration of copper 2 plus. Okay, so with that, we have looked at all the factors that will affect what is discharged at your electrode. We will now look at an exercise, which is exercise 5. Now, exercise 5, we are supposed to explain why electrolysis of dilute NaCl produces oxygen, but when you change it to concentrated NaCl, it now produces chlorine. So they are looking at what is discharged at the anode. So you must remember at the anode, anions are attracted. So anode attract anion, and anion undergo oxidation. Okay, so when you choose a half equation, you must remember I'm looking at anion undergoing oxidation. So what will be the species present in your NaCl? So NaCl contain Cl minus, and this is the only half equation that involves Cl minus that undergo oxidation on the right hand side. So Cl minus on the right hand side means they undergo oxidation. Now, then don't forget, other than anion, water can also be attracted. Now, but when you look at water in your data booklet, there are two half equations that involve water. But which is the one that we choose? Now remember, we want the species to undergo oxidation because we are looking at anode. So therefore, you must choose the one where water is on the right hand side. Because on the right hand side, water is undergoing oxidation. So therefore, we have chosen these two half equations here, Cl minus and H2O undergoing oxidation. So this one is already in your lecture notes. So now the next thing is, I need to decide what is discharged. So remember, aqueous solution, to decide what is discharged, you look at the E naught value. Because I'm looking at oxidation reaction, you look for the one that is more negative. So water has a more negative E naught value, therefore it will be oxidized. So at your anode, this is the reaction that is taking place, this one. So you write down this equation that represent the oxidation of water when you are using aqueous NaCl. So you can see that oxygen is produced when we are using aqueous NaCl. Now, what about the concentrated NaCl now? So now I change the electrolyte to concentrated NaCl. Now, remember, when you are using concentrated solution, you cannot only just look at the E naught value, you have to consider the concentration factor. And because these two E naught values are very close to each other, you have to consider the concentration factor. So what we notice here is that because concentrated NaCl, concentration of Cl minus is very high, hence high concentration shift the equilibrium towards the left hand side. So because it shifted towards the left, it favors the oxidation of Cl minus, and when oxidation is favored, your E naught value will become less positive or more negative. Okay, so you need to copy this down. And because of that, because the E naught value is so close to each other, it is likely that the E naught value for your chlorine slash Cl minus will become less positive than 1.23. So this value here could become plus 1.20. And hence, from here, what do you notice? We notice that this one here is the more negative E naught. Therefore, it will undergo oxidation. So when you are using concentrated NaCl, Cl minus is the one that is discharged, and hence Cl2 is formed. So this is the equation that represents the oxidation of your Cl minus. Okay, so you need to include this explanation as well when you are explaining. Now, then for the next exercise, now they tell you that whether you are using dilute or concentrated sodium fluoride, it produces only oxygen gas. So this is what we need to explain. So similarly, we are looking at the production at the anode. So at the anode, you must take note, it will attract anions, and anions undergo oxidation at the anode. So again, I need to choose two half equation. So the anion present will be F minus that can undergo oxidation. So similarly, I need to choose a half equation for water, because water can also undergo oxidation. Now, so I will only choose the second one, because it is this one where water is undergoing oxidation. So now, these are the half equation that we choose, whether we are using aqueous sodium fluoride or concentrated sodium fluoride. So similarly, when it's aqueous solution, I just need to consider the E naught value. So the E naught value here tells you that 1.23 is the more negative one. So therefore, oxidation is favored. So it will be water being oxidized to oxygen. So I've explained at dilute solution, oxygen is produced. But now, concentrated solution, I also need to explain why oxygen is produced. Now take note, recall, the concentration factor will only come into effect if the E naught value of these two are very close. But now the E naught value of these two are very far apart. I don't have to consider the concentration factor, because even though the concentration of F minus is very high, position is shifted towards the left hand side where oxidation is favored, and hence E naught become less positive. But because the difference is so big, when the value drop, it will still be more positive than plus 1.23. Okay? And therefore, so the value can drop to plus 2.00. So what you notice that water still has the more negative E naught value, and therefore it will still favor the oxidation of water. Okay, so hence water is still discharged when you use concentrated sodium fluoride, and oxygen is formed. So this is the equation. So, in summary, take note, the concentration factor only come into effect if the E naught value of the two species are very close. If they are very far apart, you don't have to consider the concentration factor. Now, so in summary, how do you predict what is discharged? First, you need to identify what is attracted to each electrode. So you must remember this on the next page. Anode will only attract anions and water, and cathode will only attract cations and water. And how do you determine which species is reduced or oxidized? You compare the E naught value. So for the anode, you must always remember it's the electrode where oxidation occurs. And therefore, when you look for half equation, you must find the species on the right hand side of the half equation, and you must choose the species with the more negative one. So the more negative E naught value will be the one that will be oxidized at the anode. Then for the cathode, you must always remember reduction take place there. Therefore, when you look for half equation, you must look for species that is on the left hand side of the half equation. And the species that is discharged will be the one with the more positive E0 value. Okay, because that will favor the reduction reaction. And other than the E0 value, you also need to consider the presence of active electrode. So just now the copper example. And you also need to consider the concentration factor. Now, concentration factor, please remember, it will only come into effect when the E0 value of the two species are very close. Okay, if not, you don't need to consider the concentration factor. Can? Now, so, on the same page, you have the checkpoint where you are supposed to identify the species that is discharged at each electrode for the different electrolyte here. Now do this on your own before you start working on your tutorial. So, and you can check your answer in the ASR portal. Okay? Now, so let me start you with one example. So over here I have aqueous sodium hydroxide. Now aqueous sodium hydroxide, take note at the cathode it will attract cations. So Na plus and H2O. And you need to find half equation where the two species undergo reduction. And how do you decide which one is discharged? Remember, you compare the E0 value. Okay, so because it's reduction, you need to choose the one with the more positive E0. So this is for the first checkpoint. Then similarly, when you're looking at the anode, now aqueous sodium hydroxide contains OH minus. It's an anion which can be attracted to the anode. Water can also be attracted to the anode. So now you have these two species, we can undergo oxidation at the anode. So again, you need to compare their E0 value to decide which one is, not reduced, which one is oxidized.